Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another FPL watch list. It is a very exciting day, particularly with the podcast with two Chelsea fans. There is nowhere else to start than the high that we are on today. Tom and I joined extra early just to sing Esteval's chant for a couple of minutes before we came live. So you can, I'm sure, feel the enthusiasm coming through. But it is an important stream because we have at least one free hit sounding like it's going to be played. It might well be two by the game week 13 deadline. There was also lots of talk about the triple captain, and this is particularly useful after the Manchester City Champions League lineup last night. It is, of course, nice that one English team can win comfortably in the Champions League. Isn't that right, Tom?
Yeah, my voice is a little hoarse this morning because I was chanting non-stop for 90 minutes. The atmosphere was amazing. Team played amazing. That was like one of the best nights. My 50th Chelsea game as well. I worked out. So yeah, that's it was good fun. Good fun had by everyone. And yeah,
50th Chelsea game.
Yeah.
Do you have a list of them?
Yeah.
There's like an app where you can track them all.
Oh, right.
It's called Footology or something. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say apart from Esteval is unbelievable.
Absolutely magic.
This is getting out of hand. I know we've got
We
some
haven't even
Chelsea
started
fans
yet.
here, but putting up the Chelsea tweet is next level fanboy behavior. So this is not, for everyone watching, this is not a Chelsea podcast. Just so you guys know.
Basically is now. Basically is.
It's just a question of 2 or 3 on free hit, I think.
Yeah. It's just how many Arsenal do you want to take out and how many Chelsea players do you put in? That's the question about free hit this week. But there are a potential couple of free hits that we're going to talk about. Let's talk about our scores from last week. I can go first. I got a small green arrow, about 100k places, which was all right. I got 49 points. Anderson auto sub was very nice for the no-show from Semenyo. I had Enzo with his goal. Apart from that, there wasn't loads, like Richard 6, but he's just the worst of the Palace defenders. Saka came in for me. He scored 4. So outside of that, there wasn't too much, but Enzo and Anderson enough to give me a green arrow. So not too much to report from me. A couple of transfers made. I did Ndai to Saka, so that technically paid off, and I bought Van Dijk, which I absolutely hate.
That's a good segue to my team, I think.
Yeah.
Because I also bought Van Dijk, which was enjoyable to count the DEFCONs, I thought. And Harry,
so enjoyable.
You had Anderson auto subbing, I had Mukiele. So for that, for 82 minutes, it was like it was going to be points all round, and then Jimenez scored, but he still got DEFCONs to take me to 50. I did take a hit though, about 5 to 11. On Saturday, I took out NDI for Gakpo, which in hindsight probably wasn't worth a hit. And in hindsight, I should have thought about Minte more because, to be honest, I didn't think about him one bit last week. And that's probably my bad for being like away and on a work trip and not really consuming enough podcasts. I'm sure if I'd watched one of your videos, Harry, you'd have told me that Minte was a good target.
I think I had Minte above Gakpo, but I like them both, to be fair. And while Spurs sounds like he's still out, Gakpo still feels like a good pick.
Yeah, hopefully he pays me back. Obviously, Enzo came good, which was just brilliant. Munoz doing what he does. And then Thiago, that was pretty annoying. But I don't know about you, because I was watching the game via work, so by legal means. I thought he was going to miss as soon as he stepped up, because on this graphic of where he takes penalties, they're all like low near the keeper. So he's never like smashes it in the top corner. And if Verbruggen, all he had to do is go the same way again, and he's going to save it because he never hits the corners.
I was so happy he missed. I'm going to be really honest. I was so happy when it was another penalty for Thiago. I was like, he can't keep scamming points through penalties. That's why you own players, because they're on pens, and that's why we own other players, because they're on pens. But he doesn't need 2 every week, it seems like he's getting at the moment. I've had enough of it. Every week this guy gets a pen, and I very much was happy when I saw the Brighton. I was like waiting for the notification to come through, and I wasn't getting it. And I was like, what's going on? And then I went on Twitter and I just saw the Brighton account tweeting Verbruggen saves. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was almost a 10-point swing, which was frustrating, but can't complain. Green arrow, and he almost got DEFCONs as well. You know, he was on 10 at the end.
I think Bowen was the first one this season.
First forward, yeah.
Technically, wasn't playing up front, but first one to get it.
So yeah, 50
Enzo 11-pointer.
Yeah, that was class. Much
Can I just
deserved.
ask you on Enzo, because I think some people are like looking to move him off, particularly if you're not on free hit this week, right? It's Arsenal, but I think it's safe to say he's the best Chelsea attacker to own if you want one,
Yeah, for sure. I
and
mean, yeah.
I just don't see that many better midfielders that I particularly want to sell. It's the blanks that he's had back to back, but his data still remains pretty good. He's so involved, and he just has a way of being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, you saw last night, he obviously got the assist, really nice assist for Delap, and he did score twice. They were offside, but on both occasions, he was like at the back post for set pieces.
Yeah, it wasn't even him offside in either
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, so he's always in and around the box. I think he's got the most goals and assists of any midfielder in 2025. I want to
I
say
think
that.
only Haaland, Salah, and Thiago have more goal involvements this calendar year than him.
Yeah,
I
and he's
think.
also fourth for expected goal involvement as well. So
And
yeah,
he's the one who's most likely to play. Like I asked you earlier on in the week, getting a bit sidetracked here, but we looked at those big Chelsea rotation games last season, and Enzo played them all. Like those big games where I think it was Leicester, it was Ipswich, and Sunderland. He's one of the few names that actually played all of those games. So it's the Leeds away fixture midweek in game week 14, where we are expecting a bit of Chelsea rotation. But Enzo feels like one of the names I'm more inclined to say will start it.
yeah, I
Yeah, I
agree.
think
Yeah, you go, Stephen.
when you look at the things that make an FPL asset good, he basically ticks all of those boxes. Like he has the data, he's got maybe not the fixtures right now. In fact, their fixtures coming up are pretty tough, especially this game week with Arsenal. But if you have him in your team, like, do we all have Enzo in our teams? I think we're happy enough to hold on to him, and he's obviously cheap as well. So I think there's not much to dislike about Enzo other than the fact that he plays Arsenal this game week.
Someone in the chat saying we should keep him until Palmer returns. It sounds like Palmer might be back even for the weekend in the squad at some point, but I don't think Palmer being back massively changes him that
Just
much.
go and watch the Conference League final. Who's popping the ball to
Yeah,
Enzo in the box? It's
yeah.
Palmer. So yeah, someone said in the chat also, what about Neto? I think that's kind of a valid point. He's been in good form, but probably less sustainable.
I'm Neto's number one fan, I think, so I'm all inclined to say he's
Not
great.
true.
I mean, all
Yeah,
Chelsea fans
but
seem to want him dropped at the minute for another
apart from
Brazilian
me, and
guy.
I'm there every week saying, yeah, I love him. Yeah, I probably wouldn't buy him in FPL though.
No,
I
he
still think with
is.
all these games that like that midweek where it leads could well be like Gittins, Esteval, maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. You guys have a lot of
Yeah.
options on the wings there. And also, he feels like one of those players that, like, yes, he's getting a lot of minutes, but the amount of running that he does, like,
Mm,
this guy needs to be rested at some point.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to Steven's team.
Yeah, so I had 41 points all out. It is a green arrow, but it's essentially a gray arrow because I only went up like 40k in rank. But yeah, I actually hit my safety points exactly as well. So Munoz with the 14 pointer, Enzo with the 11 pointer. I changed my captaincy at the very, very last minute from Haaland to Mateta. And I kind of knew like it was a risk with obviously the fact that Wolves were going to be playing a back five with their new manager, with the fact that, I mean, Erling Haaland is Erling Haaland, but also Mateta had picked up a slight knock, come back from international break, and you could see it in his performance that he was tired and he got subbed off. So that didn't really go in my favor, but what did go
Mm.
in my favor is the fact that Haaland blanked when he had, a ridiculous amount of chances and keeps accumulating an insane amount of XG. So I definitely got away with that one, not captain in Haaland. I will put my hands up and say that. And yeah, my transfer went terribly as well. Obviously, with Liverpool going down 3-0 or 2-0, and then Konate getting subbed off for Ekitike. I didn't even get to the 60th minute mark to get a single point from Konate. So he registered a nice 0 pointer on my in my team. And yeah, in hindsight, maybe I should have put Malik Chow first on my bench instead of Reinders to hope for some DEFCON points, which he did obviously get. And he would have been subbed on for Semenyo in that case, but I missed out on those 4 points. And yeah, we'll look to hopefully get an actual green arrow next week.
Three different captains between us and no returns for any of them.
You had to go
Wasn't
down
a good
to
week
the
for.
18th most captain player for a return. Any guesses who that was?
Is Enzo for sure?
No, it wasn't.
Was it not?
Saka owners will say that he got a
Yeah, an
return.
attacking return. There you go.
Oh, okay.
18th most captain player,
He scored this week.
Munoz,
No.
Not Munoz or Enzo.
Plays in
Thiago.
London. Plays in London. Wasn't Thiago.
Who scored for Arsenal? Eze,
Same game.
Trossard.
That same game.
Who else scored in that?
Richarlison.
Richarlison.
Richarlison,
Oh
the
my
14th
God.
most.
18th most captain player, yeah. First
Was the
attacking
only
return.
one first attacking return. Well, I don't feel too bad. And looking at the data, I have to say I feel quite happy with the. I know it's boring just capturing the player every week, but Haaland like 1.5 xG in that game. How he came away
Yeah.
with nothing from it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd shown me the freeze frame before his 3 big chances, I would have probably triple captained him. So.
I don't know quite what he was doing for the first one when he got played through. It's like
Yeah.
did he think he was offside? So he just like shot from 40 yards out and completely fluffed it. Why did he not try and take it round Pope? It was like similar to the one that Aubameyang scored last night against them, that Pope just came charging out and he should have just gone around them. But
Same
anyway,
thing last night. Haaland, exact same thing. He should have gone past the keeper, and it was Flecken actually who played for Brentford last year or the year before. He should have just pushed it past him, but he tried to like chip him from 25, 30 yards out, and
He's
yeah, that
saving them
didn't
for
go well.
Leeds.
I think he is
He's
saving them for
saving them
Leeds,
for
Tom.
Leeds.
You're right. Yeah, yeah.
Still hasn't scored a hat-trick this season, I think.
It's coming.
it's loading. One of these 3 weeks where he's got West Ham at home, Leeds at home, and Sunderland at home, he's going to go big at one of these, I think. There's a hat trick in one of those 3 games.
I could see him doing very well this weekend. So I know, Tom, you're committed to the triple captain, Harry on the free hit. I'm not decided which one, but I will be using one of them this game week. So looks like we're all using chips.
Yeah, looking at the chat, there's about 80% of people looking to play a chip this week, free hit and triple captain. The most free hit at about 60%. So yeah, it's a big week for chips being played this week. Just a couple of players to talk about before we look at a free hit draft. Let's start up front actually first. No, let's start in midfield because Thiago is relevant to both of them. Is hat-trick hero from the weekend, Eze. Thomas Frank saying before the game, who's Eze? When he was asked if he'd wish he'd signed him. And then he goes and scores his first Premier League hat-trick. I think the first Arsenal player to score a hat-trick in a very long time at home, and could have had even more than that. And there's now quite a big question with a Saka blank to go with it about where we should be spending our money again in the Arsenal team. Now, we have the likes of Madueke back, we have Martinelli back, Odegaard might also be back in the squad for Arsenal this evening, which does cloud it quite a lot. So I suppose the benefit with Saka is you feel like you are buying minutes a little bit with him. You buying the security of minutes. And I posted on Twitter yesterday to ask what people thought Arsenal's first choice front sixes, including the likes of Rice and Zubimendi. And there was a whole load of different responses, but the majority of them did have Eze in it. Now, there was a little bit of, there's going to be a bit of rotation, but he's in their strongest lineup now with the way that he's playing. So are you two just too worried about minutes, or is he on radar for you?
What do you think, Tom?
I'm not gonna lie, I've looked at lots of plans for the next few weeks and he hasn't been in any of them. Might be a blind spot, but I just like with Odegaard back, Martinelli back, Madueke back. I don't know, I'm not really that tempted, to be honest.
I would love to get a player like Eze in my team, but I think in terms of like structure, like price, and the way my team's set up, yeah, and also just those concerns around his minutes. Like after scoring a hat-trick, of course he's you would assume he's going to play the next game, and you know Arteta is one of those managers that you can kind of almost like he will. You know, can you predict what he's going to do? Maybe it's like it's tough. So it's tough to say that I'm going to get Eze in my team and be 100% confident that he's going to play every minute or start every game over the next 5 game weeks. You just can't really say that for sure. Like Odegaard is so important for them. He's literally their captain. So like he's really an important player for Arsenal. Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see him getting consistent minutes in the long term.
On form, Odegaard doesn't get back in because
True.
Odegaard is not great before he got injured, but he is their captain, and you've got to expect him to come back in, I think.
At this
Yeah.
time of year as well, though, it's like it's kind of the perfect excuse to give them both minutes, right?
Yeah.
True.
Like that Brentford at home game is the big one. Like some saying in the chat, like Saka could get rested for that. He could, but if there's one player it's not going to happen to, it's probably Saka. Like at the weekend, if he ever wanted to rest someone like Saka, they're 4-1 up against Spurs and he still plays 90 minutes. Like he's one of those players who Arteta always plays. And I agree that Eze can play centrally. Odegaard, you've got Martinelli, Trossard off the left. That there are a lot of players, which does put me off him a little bit. Despite he has been great. Like if I knew he was going to play the same minutes as everyone else, he'd be straight in there. I think.
Good point
Yeah.
in the chat. Could Zubimendi be dropped and Eze and Rice moves deep?
Yeah, but I think I was so impressed by Zubimendi. I think he's made Rice a better player, and he really helps the likes of Eze. I think it just massively helps the team when Zubimendi's in there. Like you can drop Rice back, but then the other midfielders, like Rice can't do what he's done. Odegaard then has to do more defensive work. Like it might happen in the odd game, but I think Zubimendi is definitely in their strongest team.
Yeah, 100%. I know he obviously was the cause of that Spurs goal. But he's been so pivotal to them this season, and he's played, I think, basically every single minute, bar like one or two subs. He's played 90 minutes in every other game. So yeah, I cannot see him getting dropped.
Yeah, I don't think the plan will be to drop Zubimendi. I think he knows what solidity he gets with Zubimendi and Rice together, and he thinks the front four outside of that has got enough to score goals. And if they're so good defensively, then I think that's probably his plan.
Yeah, why
But
change it?
they'll all get a rest, right? I would say I think it's very difficult to say any Arsenal player plays every game between now and January the 2nd in the Prem. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they all got a rest at some point. But I think Eze is more likely to get more than one and compared to some of the others.
Where are we with Arsenal at a whole? Like you've got Saka, Harry. I haven't. I can only get Saka for a hit before Brentford. I could get Rice for free.
I want a third again so quickly.
Or I could get Saliba. So I haven't decided yet.
I've only got Raya, so
Yeah, that's like me. I don't know. I think I want a double defense again from Brentford because they've got
Yeah.
six. They've got six. I know Villa are in the top four, but they've got six like non-big teams. In a
Yeah,
row.
but I'm at the point again now that I don't really care who they're playing. I want a double up in defence again,
from
and I
this
feel pretty
weekend.
bullish on that. Yeah, maybe apart from this weekend, but like they're still like fifth for a clean sheet chance this weekend, and it's their hardest, it's their lowest they have between now and January.
Yeah.
Like if you're buying a defender and you have an Arsenal spot and you can afford one of them, I would just buy them.
Because that will be me
Makes
next
sense.
next Tuesday. Obviously, this is before the next show, so I guess we can talk about it. Like, and I guess
Yeah.
this comes into the chat. We've had a super chat as well. The best Gabriel replacement until wildcard game week 19.
Any of the Arsenal ones,
Yeah. So
Any?
Timber or Saliba.
Timber or Saliba or Calafiori, probably
think
Timber.
any rotation in the midweek game for them?
That's the thing. I'm gonna have to buy Timber on Tuesday. That's
I
slightly
think
nervous.
who starts tonight is a big factor because I think if Timber plays tonight, having played at the weekend tonight, then it's Chelsea, then it's midweek. I think there's a more of a chance, but if they don't, then like if it's Ben White tonight, then I'd be more inclined to say no. But if I think Ben White will probably get Brentford if Timber starts tonight, then
Yeah.
that would make me more cautious of it.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I think he goes full strength, Timber tonight, like everyone full strength against, probably one of the best teams in the world right now in Bayern. Yeah, I think I could see a benching against Brentford because if you are going to do it, you play Bayern and then Chelsea, and then and then a big step down to Brentford. So I just feel like there has to be some benchings there, and they have so much depth.
Does he need I'm looking at Timber's minutes and he's played like multiple midweeks so often with if you include the internationals this season. Like the drop off is quite
No,
big
I don't
as
think
well.
I don't think he needs the rest. It's just if he takes the opportunity to do it.
So would you buy Saliba ahead of 14 then if Timber starts tonight.
I'd probably still buy. I'd probably either buy Timber or just wait a week. I still
Yeah.
think Timber's the best. Like if you buy Saliba over Timber and Saliba starts and Timber doesn't, great. For that one fixture, you've got the better pick. But from the week after, you have the worst pick.
Yeah, something to think about.
I'd be buying, if you're buying an Arsenal defender for Brentford at home, I'd buy Timber and take the risk. Or you just don't buy them that week, I think.
How much is Timber now? Is he 6 point?
7-3, 6-3, sorry.
6-3.
Jeez,
Yeah,
give me a
that's
heart attack there.
yeah,
7-3.
Tom. Well, Tom, hopefully he doesn't rise in price by Tuesday,
million.
and then
Yeah, a million.
A million in prize.
big up the
Did
bet.
he play over the international break?
He played 64 and 90. So he started both games.
The only thing is, with Gabriel being out, that's basically like an enforced rotation every week that they've got. So when Brentford comes around, what's he going to change? You'd expect Saliba to play. He doesn't really change his centre back, so maybe Hincapié plays or maybe Mosquera plays. Then at least one of Calafiori and Timber are going to start. Like I don't think he's going to change both of them.
No.
So I think there's a risk, and I think that Brentford game comes with the biggest risk for a lot of their players. But I don't think they're all going to miss out. There's probably going to be less changes than for Chelsea, for example.
And not getting ahead of myself, but like, say they did like fail to beat Chelsea, right? Or you know, unlikely that we beat them this weekend. There's only 3-point gap in the table. Like, would he really rest his best defender to play someone
No,
who
but-
hasn't started in the league since game week 1?
No. I think the other thing to mention is after the Brentford game, they play Villa, and then they all get a midweek off because they have played Club Brugge in the Champions League. So they're all going to rest there.
And then it's Carabao
Then it's
Cup, right?
Then it's
The midweek after.
Arsenal, and then it's Everton, and then it's the Carabao Cup. So they actually do have a midweek off because their Palace game got pushed back. So between Wolves and Everton, they also have a midweek off. So they're going to have the free midweek between Villa and Wolves, and then Wolves and Everton. They have the midweek off anyway. So I think
Convinced me.
I think I'd still go Timber.
Yeah, so we saying that for the super chat as well. Best Gabriel replacement this week is still Timber.
Timber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, agreed.
Then let's look up front. I mean, he can't keep scoring penalties every week, can he? But apparently he seems like he can.
not
But
always,
it's a good week
unfortunately.
to buy Thiago. He does have the most contrasting 2 fixtures coming up out of anything that's possible, right? So he's got Burnley at home followed by Arsenal away. I think is the biggest contrast in 2 fixtures you can possibly get over the next 2. Then Spurs away is all right, and then game week 16, then really nice fixture run starts. There's been a lot of talk about, do you go for someone else for the short term because of the fixtures that they've got? He feels like, I think he's a better pick than Mateta now. He feels like the second best forward in the game to me. Welbeck is an all right pick as well. I feel slightly more concerned about Welbeck's minutes with all the fixtures. The Arsenal one does put me off Thiago a little bit, which is why it's quite nice to be on free hit. But he feels like just a great long-term pick, even with the amount of penalties that he's getting.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an interesting point you make about like, is he the second best forward in the game over Mateta? I'm not sure I agree with that. I mean, like, I feel like Mateta has obviously been very disappointing recently, but with those fixtures, with the fact that Crystal Palace are always going to be a team that creates more chances than Brentford, if those penalties start to dry up for Thiago, I would say, maybe that will obviously that will make him less appealing as an asset. But yeah, I still think it's a sure thing that the top 3 forwards in the game right now are Haaland, Mateta, and Thiago. And I do think he is still a good buy. Obviously, the only bad fixture he has in the next 5 game weeks is the Arsenal game. And I don't think it's really enough to put people off buying him because as a long-term pick, I still think he's great.
My thought process on Mateta is I'm starting to worry about his minutes a little bit. Like we saw at the end of last season when they had too many games and he just played like 60 every week, and it was really annoying and he wasn't doing anything. And the early sub at the weekend also is a bit of a concern. Now, if we see Nketiah start on Thursday and maybe Mateta gets a rest then maybe that's enough to make us feel confident. But like if Mateta starts on Thursday, that Burnley away fixture starts to become a little bit of a worry in game week 14. Even maybe he starts, it's just the early sub. So that's the thing, because of the extra European fixtures that Palace have got, plus they're still in the cup, the minutes are a little bit more shaky for me.
Yeah, fair. And he did look very tired against Wolves, I think. Yeah, against Wolves. So, yeah, I can see what you mean. The minutes should definitely be considered.
With Thiago, like obviously, I've heard a few people talk about how we have to use a transfer in game week 15. We got loads in 16. People talking about selling him for 2 weeks and then getting Voltemada instead because he's got Burnley and Spurs. I don't know. I probably would buy Thiago this week if he weren't free hitting, but I'd hope you had a bit of cover for next week because I'm planning to bench him next week.
Who are you playing over him?
It'll be a back four, so
okay, fine.
Like Van Dijk,
Nice.
Timber, whatever. Senesi has Everton at home, so
yeah.
But yeah.
I don't mind it. Yeah, if you're gonna have the ability to bench him next week, then I definitely like it even more. The Voltemada one's interesting for short term, right? Everton away, Spurs at home, Burnley at home in all their fixtures until game week 16. Probably better. And actually the Newcastle fixtures long term. I actually don't mind Voltemada as a bit of a pick at the moment. So yeah, he's one I've got my eye on, but I would probably still go Thiago over him short term, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, you can't look past this week. I mean, Burnley are just so bad at the back.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll score an open play goal this week.
Surely not.
He's mad. 9 goals. He's only Haaland scored more.
Yeah, but he scored like 3 non-pen goals.
He's got 6 penalties.
I think he does.
He's good though. He's
does.
got a good record from his previous clubs and stuff. Like I think he'll carry on taking over.
Oh, like and Brentford feed
and after it's Wolves as well. After those 4,
he scored 4 pens this season.
So 5 open play.
Yeah, just still not bad. But
any love for Jimenez with Muniz injured?
Yes, I don't mind. I think he's one of those players when we get to game week 16 and they suddenly we've got loads of transfers and they walk into Burnley, Forest, West Ham. People are going to look at Fulham as some short-term punts.
I'm ahead of the curve with Josh King there, lads. He'll be the one feeding Raul
Still hasn't
Jimenez.
scored yet, has he? He seems like
He still doesn't have an attack in return.
Yeah,
He's
he's
not
the
done anything.
unluckiest player.
He got me a clean sheet point over the week, so I'll take
To be
that.
fair, that's more than Haaland did.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Is he 4 point? What is he?
4.5, yeah.
He's still
4.5.
Fair.
Yeah, so he has 0 attacking returns. He has 3 clean sheet points and has not hit DEFCON.
His minutes,
Let's
though.
go, Josh.
His minutes are not great.
I mean, if you're buying at that price now, you're buying pots, right?
Well,
Probably,
I actually might have this dilemma this week, Harry. So you can come to me for that exciting transfer. I was also
when I
Pots,
plan on
but
buying Thiago, I plan on downgrading Sarr to pots and upgrading Guy to Thiago.
the more I think about it, though, is 0.1, like, for 0.1, why would I not pick the attacker that I could maybe even play against Burnley?
Because Josh King's not done anything all season.
Yeah,
he's,
he's
well,
not.
he's due then, isn't he?
In what week is that?
That is
he due?
16.
I bet Potts outscores him and he has Villa at home.
What, because he's going to get DEFCON or something?
Yeah, he'll get DEFCON. He takes some set pieces as well. Maybe he
That's
won't
massive.
if Paqueta's playing, but he took them against Newcastle and Burnley, and Paqueta was on the pitch for those. So I would go Potts. I really would love, I know you sold him a few weeks ago, Tom. I'd love to buy Elliot Anderson back.
Yeah, I sold him and he's just racking up the points.
He's
man.
on my list this week, actually, once we get to transfers.
He is the
Yeah.
DEFCON king, I think. I think he's more consistent than Caicedo in terms of, like, if you drill down by game by game.
Talking of Elliot Anderson, let's have a look at the free hit draft. Because my first draft, when I did over the weekend, before I saw the City team last night, actually had Elliot Anderson in as my enabler in midfield and to be able to afford the rest of it. So, as a bit of a disclaimer, I think I'm going to free hit. I'm about 80% there. I just don't see a better week for me to use it. I could just not use it. Like, I've had a few people ask, like, do I need to use the free hit? Like, you could burn it, but I probably wouldn't burn the free hit. Like, I think even if you're making a couple of changes, like you've got one bad player, like you could still just change it for a week. But I've gone, this was the draft before we saw some of the lineups last night. So Donnarumma in goal, Collins, O'Reilly, Murillo, Anderson, Salah, Kevin Schade, Gakpo, Rogers, Thiago, Haaland. I think I'll probably end up with Foden or Doku instead of Anderson after the lineup last night, and then going like Martinez over Donnarumma now. I think players like Salah, Schade, Gakpo, Rogers, Thiago, Haaland are very likely. O'Reilly feels very likely. A Brentford defender feels very likely. A Villa defender feels very likely. So it's more, I'd say, the final defender spot and the final midfielder spot that I'm having a look at.
Who's the is it Anderson and Murillo is who you're looking at, yeah?
Yeah. I probably won't end up with either, but I just have been quite impressed by Forest recently, and the fixture is all right, and both of them have been pretty good. But I
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
won't end up with any Forest.
a player, I'm obviously also playing around with the idea of playing a free hit, and a player that I've kind of been trying to squeeze into my team is Gibbs White, just based off his recent form
Mm.
and also his low ownership. That's something that's quite interesting to me as well. But he isn't cheap, is a thing, so you do have to find that budget in your team. Um,
The thing
yeah.
is, I'll probably end up going with Foden, but I am one defender short, right? The bookies odds have City, Villa, and Brentford at the top for clean sheets this week, and if I have one of each of those, I'm still needing another one. So I
hmm
could not go Foden and go for another midfielder I like and go for a double up defensively. I don't have that. I like Gibbs White's returns have been really good. So if there was another attacker that I quite liked this week, then I would definitely consider it. Like I could go for like a double up on City and throw Szoboszlai in there if I thought he was going to play in midfield.
I don't mind it, yeah.
Um, But this is where the free hit is at the moment. I mean, the big thing, I think the glaring thing is there's no Palace
I was
at
going
home
to say,
to
yeah.
United. I could go for Munoz as that final defender. I can squeeze him in with a bit of restructure in terms of where I spend the money. So I could go Munoz there. And no Arsenal is the other thing. And I could go for Raya as that sort of fourth, or like a Hincape as that fourth defender spot. So those are probably the two teams that I think are missing the most at the moment in this.
I I would really want to have Munoz in there, to be honest. Like I look at Collins and I think like, I mean, it's a bit boring, isn't it?
Yeah, but I also
Does he
think with
get
a chance that
DEFCONs?
quite a lot. He was great for them last year. He's not been as good for them this season. I
I
could
think
go Kelleher in goal and free up the defender spot.
I was thinking about this as well, Kelleher and like a City defender versus what is it, Donnarumma and Collins, and I just feel like Collins's DEFCON data is it just slightly edges it towards that combination of having Donnarumma in nets and Collins rather
Mhm.
than like Gvardiol, and you can still have, by the way, O'Reilly in this team. I'm kind of more mentioning if you have O'Reilly and someone else,
Yeah.
and I do think I just lean towards Collins there.
hmm I think O'Reilly definitely goes in, especially after last night. I think it's really telling that the first subs he made when he tried to change the game was O'Reilly, Doku, and Foden on at halftime. I think that
Mm.
shows us enough that they're probably first choice. I say probably.
Yeah.
But the other big thing is Liverpool, right? What's that, one win in seven now or six in the Prem? That I've got two of them. But I think if I'm going on free hit, I'm going I'm taking a punt. I'm still punting on Liverpool. I think if you're on free hit, I think you've got to do it. You don't have to do it, but I'm not changing enough if I'm not going with more Liverpool, I think.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough to pick Salah. Like, you take on the penalty taker. He's still Liverpool's top scoring player, I think, despite having a poor year. You could look at Gakpo in isolation, like someone like Brennan Johnson, maybe. I don't know, it's quite a good differential. He's suspended in the Champions League tonight. Dango as well at Brentford. Although maybe not a triple up. Maybe Sarr. I mean, Sarr always seems to score against slightly bigger teams.
Yeah, and it's the week I'm taking him out, so that's
United.
gonna end well. We know how that one ends.
Yeah,
Could also look at adding a third striker spot for Welbeck or Watkins.
Yeah, I've thought
I
about
think
Watkins, and
is he's struggling so much.
I'd be more tempted by Welbeck, honestly. I would.
Yeah. Would Rodgers be definitely in a free hit for you guys? Because his data is actually not very good.
I'd be tempted. I mean, to be honest, because they're playing Wolves. I mean, yeah, I'd be lying if I
It's
said he
more
wouldn't
that.
be in.
Yeah.
But they do play a back five now, Wolves, and they just kept a clean sheet to Palace. So, I mean, like,
They lost 2-0.
oh, was I? Oh, I'm tripping. Sorry.
That's all right. There
Oh,
was,
yeah,
they
it
did,
was
they
that
did defend
Mateta,
much
didn't-
better than they have done. Yeah, as a
Yeah,
Mateta
yeah.
owner, you
And
just...
then at the end,
You
yeah, they
switched
got
off,
the two
yeah.
goals. Yeah, I
Yeah.
switched the TV off after that.
But like someone like Ndiaye, right? I know I just sold him, but like, I mean, arguably he's a bit better than Rodgers in terms of like data, penalties. Newcastle are awful away from home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like Rodgers is in everyone's team. I think it's fair enough with the fixture and his recent form. I think he deserves a shout in there.
Yeah.
So what's your
I don't
current
know,
team?
just
Is
like-
it Foden and
Foden and then I've got Cash instead of Murillo and Martinez in goal. So I actually do have triple Villa.
so yeah, double yeah.
So
I mean, you could do Doku and Munoz. I think I maybe prefer that instead of Collins and
yeah, Doku versus...
Foden.
If I need money, Doku over Foden is interesting. I just...
Also double City defense. Actually, I know you haven't got it in the second draft, but it screams like 5-1, doesn't it, against Leeds?
Foden's plays like he plays 90 pretty much every week, whereas Doku is in and out a little bit more. Like he often gets taken off, which is all right if they've scored a couple of goals. But I also don't love his output. Although Foden's attacking returns this season have not been great. 1 goal, 1 assist this season.
I would back like City to keep a clean sheet rather than like one of their attackers other than Haaland to get a goal contribution. Or more
That's
than
probably
one goal
fair,
contribution.
to be fair. Yeah, that is probably
In my,
fair.
for example, in my free hit draft, it's actually the exact same as Harry's here, except instead of Mario, I have Cash, and instead of Anderson, I have Gibbs White, and then just like a load of 4-point whatever's
Yeah.
on my bench. So I've gone for
mean,
the
I don't know
double
if you-
City defense. Yeah.
If you want to show both mine and Steven's team, and we'll talk about... Because it doesn't sound like either of us are 100% there on the free hit. So, yeah, I mean, we can look at my team and sort of talk about the whether I play it or not. Because my team this week, it looks all right. I do just have a lot of clashes. So I've got triple Palace against United, which is okay, but United generally have been better. I've got a double up on Bournemouth against Sunderland. I've got double Arsenal against Chelsea, where I've also got Enzo. So there's quite a lot of clashes in my team, is basically it. Not loads of great fixtures. Tom, could you put my team up?
Yes. I don't really think there's a debate about this week or 16, to be honest.
Yeah, so the other thing interesting, I'd be good to get your thoughts. The reason I have said, and I heard it on Above Average, why I don't love 16 is partly is the price changes, right? The whole game is going to get 5 free transfers. and is going to buy players that week. So there's going to be price changes, but also people are going to be buying the players that you're free hitting in. Like loads of people are going to use transfers in 16 to buy players with a good fixture, and those are going to be the players that you want to own on a free hit. So, like I'm looking at it in game week 16. Maybe you own more Chelsea than most people at home to Everton. Okay, maybe you own more than most people Liverpool at home to Brighton. People have already got Arsenal at home to Wolves. Outside of that, okay, maybe you're punting Fulham away at Burnley. Sunderland, Newcastle is pretty difficult. West Ham, Villa, like you're going more Brentford at home to Leeds, but everyone will be buying Thiago that week anyway. And then it's United Bournemouth on the Monday night, which again is not the easiest game to call. If you've got players like a Minte away at Liverpool, if you've got, I don't know, still a Grealish away at Chelsea, a few others, you've got like Palace against City, then maybe it does work in 16, but I don't think it fits my team that well. If I didn't have the free hit, I wouldn't have a issue with this team this week.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Tom. Yeah, quickly. I think the only thing for me in terms of against free hit this game week is triple captain Haaland. Like, if you think this is the game week that he's going to explode, obviously there's other options. West Ham at home. What's the other one? Is it Sunderland at home as well? Yeah, I feel like if you think this is the game week that he goes massive, then that's really only like downside of free hit this game week.
I don't really take. I understand the point about 16 and the price changes, but in reality, I think you're going to make one move max probably in 16, because like I think the mainstream play will be to just try and roll those 5 as much as possible. Obviously, you have to use one, but
Yeah, and then you have to use one the next week. Like you're going to have to use some transfers.
yeah, but I think like the price, like yeah, I mean, when do you ever react to price changes, Harry? Like you're very level-headed, and like I'm not sure they would panic you into making 4 transfers that you'd missed out on because of a free hit.
Just to clarify what Harry means with the price changes is that if you free hit that game week, you obviously don't get to make use of those price changes that you're expecting to happen. But I see what you mean, Tom, in terms of
I don't think you're not going to be making 3 or 4 transfers anyway. So
this is the
No,
thing.
but in game week
Is everyone
17,
else?
if you free hit in 16, in game week 17, you're buying a pretty similar pool of players in 17 that you would have bought in 16, and they're all just going to be 0.2 more expensive. I might not be buying them all, but at least I'm buying one or two of them.
yeah, I mean, I also kind of think this debate's slightly immaterial because I think 13 is just definitely better. Like this is the week with Chelsea and Arsenal, and I guess you're
Knowing
backing.
you, Harry, you're gonna roll all those transfers anyways. So
Yeah, I'll just start burning them, I think.
16 just looks great, like in terms of people's normal teams, I think.
Yeah, I don't think my team looks that bad in 16. Apart from like Mateta against City.
But there's not fixtures to attack though. Like you're gonna have triple Arsenal probably. I guess you'd be getting Salah again, wouldn't you?
But like, I'd rather take Salah against West Ham than Salah against Brighton.
Yeah, the only variable here is Cole Palmer. You know,
Yes,
could
yes, it is true.
He's got a little bit of history in that fixture.
I think having Salah this game week is a huge pull for free hit as well. Like you said, you can get him against Brighton, but I know West Ham have been improving over the past few weeks, and obviously Liverpool have been regressing this season as a whole. But the fact that you can get Salah in your team on a free hit, and also everyone wants Thiago if you don't have him, and then you can avoid having him for the Arsenal fixture, you can get him in this game week. Those are another 2 big points in favour of free hit this game week.
It's just free hitting in a single game week feels weird because when Saka, Sarr, and Mateta all score and Bruno finally scores, then it's just going to be like... Yeah. I'll take any positive where I have at least one more point than my non-free hit team. I'll be more than happy with, I think.
Yeah, you just need obviously City to go off and...
Yeah, City, Liverpool. I mean, yeah, it's the teams you're backing, right?
Yeah.
Brentford and Wolves. Yeah, Brentford and Villa. Cool. Are we going to do the same for Stephen's team?
We can go through it very quickly.
I'll bring up Stephen's team. Your team, as it stands for this week, is on the screen.
Yeah. So yeah, right now I've got Raya in nets, Munoz, Konate, Senesi in the back three, midfield four of Enzo, Semenyo, Bruno, and Reinders right now. But if I was starting, I'd probably have actually play a back four with Malik Chow instead of Reinders, and then Haaland, Mateta, João Pedro up top. So yeah, obviously in terms of looking at this team and whether they're free hit or not, I'm looking at the fact that I have double Chelsea against Arsenal, the fact that I probably have to play Malik Chow against Everton, which I don't hate. But if anyone in my team is injured or doesn't play for whatever reason, my bench would be Reinders, Alderete, and Josh King. So that bench is extreme. It's made of absolutely nothing. So if anything goes wrong this game week for me, I'm pretty done in with that bench. And I just think the upside is there for me to play a free hit. It's not like my team's in dire need of it. Like I can get by this game week, but like I said, it's with a transfer. By the way, if I was to do a transfer this game week, I would lean towards Reinders to Minta, Gakpo, or Anderson in that order. I do like Minta. Obviously, I could also go João Pedro to Thiago, but I think that Reinders is the obvious guy to get out of here, and then I probably wouldn't have to play a back four. But yeah, it is avoidable. I can get away without a free hit, but I just see the upside is bigger than the downside.
I would free hit that, I think. I
Yeah.
know, like, the double Chelsea attack is a little bit off-putting, despite what we've said at the start of the stream.
Despite the fact that you're winning the treble.
Yeah.
Why is it only 3?
Yeah, well, we're still in
Which
tough,
one?
aren't we? We are
Which
still
one
in.
aren't we?
Excuse me.
Which one aren't we winning?
Would you free hit that, Harry? I mean, obviously you would because you're doing it yourself. So
Yeah, it's very similar to mine, right? I probably would. Yeah. The only thing I'd say is the only slight caveat to putting me off the free hit with this is there are things that you could use transfers on to fix that would also help your team longer term, like Reinders and maybe João Pedro. But it kind of depends what we think of João Pedro's minutes against Leeds. And if we think he starts Leeds, then over the next 2, he's equal to Thiago potentially.
I mean, if I find out that obviously City have the early kickoff. There's no early kickoff, but they're one of the teams that kicks off at 3 p.m. this weekend. And if I find out Reinders is starting in that game, which I highly doubt would happen, I would maybe be tempted against the free hit here. But
you just
I
get
just don't see that
Thiago,
happening.
surely. For João
Yeah,
Pedro.
then I
Yeah,
would.
then you could just do João Pedro to Thiago and not.
That's what I was thinking, but it's a big if, and obviously the fact that Reinders played 90 minutes last night in what is, excuse me, essentially the City B team. They made 10 changes up from the weekend. I just don't see it happening, so I do think I'll be free hitting.
You could frame Reinders though as like he wasn't hooked. He did come on against Newcastle when they needed a goal, and he's only one change away, right, from starting. He's probably the 12th player in the team.
Yeah, if
And we
if I
might
find
get
out
loads.
he's starting, then yeah, I'm gonna be waiting to click that free hit up until the end. If he's starting, I'm doing João Pedro to Thiago.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
Big if.
yeah. Sounds like Semenyo's back in training as well, which is a positive on him. But yeah, I think that's probably fair. If Reinders does start, then
And then
that
I have
probably
to
works.
bench one of Enzo. I'd probably bench Enzo then for Malik Chow as well. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Newcastle away from home, I'd probably play Enzo.
I'd definitely play Enzo.
Against the best defense in the league.
Well, aren't we the best attack in the league? For goals scored and expected goals.
You are? You actually are, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Decision made.
Cool. And then I'll bring up my team. I have got, for the podcast, Raya, Van Dijk, Senesi, Munoz, Gakpo, Enzo, Semenyo, Fernandez, Mateta, Thiago, and triple captain on Haaland, with a bench of Dubravka, Mukiele, Reinders, and Michael Keane. I mean, that's almost bench boostable. So there's a few decisions there.
You're benching Keane again.
Yeah. I mean,
What more does this man have to do for you?
yeah, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. Yeah, there's a couple of defensive decisions to make. Like, I think Senesi, Mukiele, and Keane are all... You could flip a coin for any of them, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not going to play Mukiele because I have Semenyo, rightly or wrongly. Could do Keane over Senesi, and then if we get news that Reinders is playing, I will just pop him in for Enzo, I think.
Oh well,
which is really kind of goes against everything I've said, but I think that's fair. And then transfer wise, there's not a lot really to say. I mean, I've kind of come to terms with the fact I need to lose Reinders to Potts or King to free up $1 million. But I thought this morning, like, what's the point of me doing it this week if Reinders is just sitting on the bench? Surely, because he's not going to drop, so surely I would wait to see if I got an injury next week with 2.
Yeah.
And then next week the plan is Reinders to King or Potts, and then Keane to Timber or Saliba.
Very nice.
For free.
Yeah, I like it. Vice triple captain Thiago.
Yeah, Vice is a bit... I mean, I'd probably pop it on Bruno just for safety, but...
Nah, surely Thiago.
Yeah,
One penalty merchant
his
for
luck's
another.
Going to run out at this point.
Just bank on whichever is going to score a pen.
Not Bruno.
What defenders would you guys play?
I think you've nailed. I think I would go with what you have.
I think I probably would. I would be tempted to put Keane in though.
Ahead of Senesi or Van Dijk.
Yeah, either of them. Yeah, Senesi's on 4 yellows, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the only thing that I'm scared about right now is Munoz.
Oh
and
no,
Senesi.
Senesi gets booked. I need
booked,
him next week. So
they could both get
Senesi
booked
and
this
Munoz.
week, and then I'm absolutely screwed.
Then you just play what you. I agree. Like next week, my defense, if I don't have, I'll have Senesi at home to Everton and Richards away at Burnley, and I'm worried that Richards won't start. And my bench has Rodon against Chelsea and Anderson against City on my bench.
Oh man!
So
I reckon Richards doesn't play tomorrow, and you get him next week.
Do you think he just plays the Prem games?
Because didn't Glasner say that like maybe I gave him too much of a rest? That's why he cramped.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So
Ideal. I could do with Richards, my nice lowly 4.5, up to
Nice.
4.6 now. Just chilling every week.
Humble.
Yeah. So Keane against Senesi is quite close. That's quite close. I mean, Sunderland have been really good at home, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's close. I would be tempted to find a place for Keane.
Over Enzo.
Over Enzo.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
good.
actually, yeah.
No, probably not. Yeah, I mean, I bet you wish you saved your bench boost.
Yeah, well, I did all right in my bench boost.
You had a massive bench boost, no, with Mukiele?
Well, he didn't really because he scammed his bench boost.
No, it was because Romero didn't turn up. That's why.
Yeah,
It did Alderete to Mukiele for an extra like 11 points.
Well, Harry claims I would have started Mukiele, but I wouldn't.
Oh,
I
remember now. I remember.
Yeah, he would have done. So Mukiele wasn't even part of your bench boost. So you do that well on it.
Yeah, no, I'm doing rubbish this year, I think.
Yeah.
Suck it off.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment.
But yeah, that's me, triple captain. So hoping for a brace. I think it's
out of interest. Do you think Haaland is better this week than West Ham, or are you partly playing it because lots of other people are on free hit?
I've thought for weeks that this is the best one. I ruled out Sunderland straight away just because I think they're the best team. Mm-hmm. And then maybe wrongly in my head, I'm thinking there's no guarantee West Ham will be this bad because I'm kind of giving Nuno maybe too much credit.
Mm.
I think Leeds is the.
And there's also the narrative about Haaland's dad, right? And he loves playing Leeds or something. Has he scored against Leeds before? I'm just kind of chatting rubbish.
If I could pick between the two, I'd probably lean towards the Leeds fixture to triple captain him.
Yeah, I just haven't really questioned myself all week, so I'm definitely going to do it. Why would you save it?
I don't know. I think it's quite close. I think the Scout predicted points has West Ham at home as better, but also it's one of those that you play what's in front of you. Like we might get to West Ham at home and Haaland's got a knock, and then
exactly.
Then what on earth do we do?
For 2 weeks to use it.
I'm going to end up triple captaining Bruno.
And I
Captain
think
in
that's actually
Bruno,
a
by the
bit
way,
like,
on Monday.
I think that should be
was
the main
rubbish.
consideration.
He was their deepest
I
player.
was so like, I was actually chuffed for you. I know.
The whole of Monday, I was like, this is going to
When
be
I saw you
massive.
still had him as the captain, I was like, Tom is going to feast this game week. He's
Yeah.
going into the top 10k, and then obviously that did not.
It was just
Especially
stood on the
after the red
halfway
card, I was
line.
like, you must have been watching that like, oh my
It's just
God.
the weirdest
And-
watch because it's like he was playing deeper than their centre backs to get the ball, and yet he still had the most shots and the most XG.
Yeah.
But I can't help but think
He had
with
one
Bruno,
good
like
chance.
his XG is always made up of low shots. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Apart from there was that one,
yeah, where he
Quite high
swung
one.
at it. Yeah,
although it was quite a difficult chance, to be honest.
yeah, that was.
And 11
frustrating.
DEFCON to go with it.
Yeah, I think
11, yeah. Oh well.
But
Yeah, I'll triple captain Bruno against Wolves at home in game week 19, just for him to get DEFCON. Just for him to get 11 DEFCON.
It's the safe play, mate. It's the safe play.
Yeah, I am just wondering about doing. There's part of me that's just like, I'll just do Bruno to Elliot Anderson, and I have the same player for like 3 million cheaper than him. Literally the same.
Yeah.
well, Saka. That's what you get from Saka these days, isn't it? Just definitely.
Yeah, well, you own them. That's why I've just filled my team. I just I just rank the players by most DEFCON and just buy them. That's why I want Anderson.
That's FPL these days.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy Bowen now. Right, that is probably enough waffling from all of us. If you haven't already, please drop a like on the stream and subscribe if you are new. We will be back next Wednesday, which will be after the game week 14 deadline. So there will be 2 rounds of FPL by the time we are back next. So good luck this week and good luck next week. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Tom. Hope you have a great rest of your day and great rest of your week celebrating those Chelsea points, and hopefully it continues over the weekend.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks, everybody.
And
Cheers,
you too
guys.
as well, Stephen. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.